certain things happen throughout life. You know, we like to refer to it as a trial by fire.
Yes.
Where we tend to get hurt, trust tends to go away.
Yeah.
And then we don't really be our most authentic self, right?
That symbolizes that through word and thought, with the action of the wand, then the manifestation of a beautiful life can happen. What was being shown to you as an example was life's hard, life's not fun, life's a chore, all of those things, and it was like, oh, is this life? Like, you know? And when you realize that it's a choice and it's not, you can have fun, and you then be that example for others and Abby, and they go, oh, I can do that too.
3, 2, 1.
Woo!
Push play.
Push play. Okay, beautiful. Look, we've done one before.
Yes.
So let's just basically continue the conversation.
Yes.
But I think you're going to take it away for us first.
Yes, I will. But I feel we'll set our intention first.
Yeah.
Yes. So I feel the intention for our episode number 2 today is to have fun, to flow, to speak from the heart, but with vulnerability and authenticity, and just to have fun as we converse the cosmos. Do you want to add anything to that, Bubba?
Do you guys want to add anything to that?
I think that's perfect.
That's so perfect.
Absolutely perfect.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's very flowy.
Yes,
Yes.
it's flowy. Alrighty.
Should we-
Hold to that one.
Oh.
Oh.
Should we introduce ourselves as well?
Yes.
We'll do the namaste.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
For the intention.
Do you want to? It's
Yeah,
up
of
to
course
you.
we can. Yeah. As in for the intention. What are you talking about?
Never mind. I'm
Okay.
just talking a bunch of shit now.
That's fine.
I was like, oh, normally what we do is we go, namaste, my name is, but this is part 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Part 2.
it's all good.
Hopefully you've listened to part 1.
Exactly.
Yeah. If they haven't listened to this, the part 1, go to part 1 and
Go
then
to
watch
part
this
1.
one.
Yes, and then come to this one.
Yeah.
I
Make
agree.
more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Otherwise, this one probably won't make a lot of sense.
But yes, so I reckon let's say welcome to episode 2 of Unveiling Lives with your host Hermes and Rekiah-Lee.
My name's Rekiah.
Yes, it is. I forgot my name for a second. And welcome to our beautiful Eden,
Yes.
our podcast room. So yes, as you can see with the beautiful audience as well, we have the same guest on today. So beautiful Sammy and Johnny Gunner.
Thank you for having us.
Exciting.
Thank
My
you
pleasure.
for having us in your home.
Yeah. Thank you for jumping on again. I feel that with the last one we had only just begun.
Yeah.
So I reckon today we'll just flow with wherever we go.
Sounds good.
I love it.
Where did we end? Beautiful opening. Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for coming and joining us here at our home.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
like beautiful Rekiah said.
Yeah.
We were mentioning to you guys before, so the viewers know as well. You guys are the first guests in
our
all the
home.
time that we've been here to have had in our home. So we feel very humbled that you guys have come over
Yes.
and blessed us with your presence.
Well, thank you for having
How
us. It
special.
makes us feel very, very special, very welcomed. Very welcome.
Aw,
Warms my heart.
mine too.
And I'm not just saying that.
I feel that we'll jump straight into flowing with today. And myself and Hermes were speaking yesterday, and we come up with these questions, and we called it the infinite duo. So we did ask you guys the first question in the very first potty, and that was about what brought you to the table. So I feel today we'll dive straight away into having some fun here today. So the second question for the dynamic duo is if you could go back in time, so we'll go through a little bit of a time capsule here, and if you could present, let's say, an object and a word to your younger self below 7, what would it be? And when would you present that object and that word to that person? And I feel we'll start with Sammy first.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think if I could present myself with an object, it would be a magic wand.
Yes.
And I would tell myself how powerful my words were and to be prudent with them.
Wow. And how come you chose the object of a wand?
Because it symbolizes that through word and thought, with the action of the wand, then the manifestation of a beautiful life can happen.
Wow. I think that's very beautiful. And like when the thought and the action, the word come together,
Yeah.
how have you found that in your reality? Because that's what you're giving back to your younger self.
I feel like I'm doing that now,
Yes.
and how cool it would have been when I was younger to have that confirmation that was the part that was holding me back.
Yes. I hear you. I
That's
think
very much, pardon me for interjecting.
Of course you
Is that
can.
how you say that word? That's very much what we were speaking about in the first podcast
Yes.
as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where you said for a long time you get picked on for your voice, you couldn't
Yeah.
order pizza,
yes.
you couldn't, do anything
Yeah.
for that matter for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's then speaks of the power. So go back, listen to part 1. Speaks of the power of the wand as well. Then.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful, beautiful answer. What would the wand look like?
Yeah. Paint us a picture.
Picture of the wand.
I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to imagine it.
Me too.
Okay. It would be a stick from my backyard that I would have found, and it would have up the length of the stick different colors of crystals of the chakras. So how to awaken those different parts of myself that then come together, and then it would have a clear quartz pointy crystal at the top, because the clear quartz can take on the energy of anything. So no matter what I want to spell or whatever I want to activate, it will bring to life.
I see it. I even feel it.
I think I need to make it.
I reckon you will.
That's awesome.
With that beautiful gift you would present to your younger self, is there like a memory you would go back to when you would give it? Or would they find it themselves? How would they come across it?
I think I would find it under a tree.
Yes?
Yeah.
Oh,
Just as like a magical present that I would discover.
wow.
Yeah.
I like that. And do you feel that's something they would find before they were to hit the age of 7?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Yes? You're really doing it, Sammy. Well, I love that. Does anybody else have any other questions they would like to throw in there in regards to this?
Yeah, I feel like we'll flow with it
Yeah,
a bit. I
I
feel it's
agree.
beautiful before we go to the
Johnny.
beautiful Johnny.
Yeah.
It's as you were explaining it, and I had my eyes closed, I could see you explained the clear quartz at the end.
Yeah.
So like the prism
Yeah,
one is the pointy one.
Yeah.
You know? So not only is it good to be directing energy and clear, what did you say? It cleanses and clears the energy.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it also can take on any emotion, any thought. So that the clear quartz people don't realize that if they're feeling whatever feeling they're feeling, it can actually enhance it. So use it wisely.
Yes, 100%. What's your favorite crystal then?
The Lapis Lazuli.
No way. That's
mine
my
too.
favorite
Is
crystal.
that-
Yeah. For real. For
Mine
real.
too.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What are the chances of
so
that?
the first crystal I bought Johnny as a happy stone, was a lapis lazuli,
Mhm.
and it was so that he could keep it in his pocket, and that whenever he would have something a memory of the day that was beautiful or that really made him feel good, he would hold it and charge the stone with that memory, and then at the end of the day bring it out and remember all those good things. So that's why we
Oh,
called it a
wow.
happy stone.
The happy
Aw.
stone. Yeah. For me, I call it my moon rock.
Yes.
So for myself, a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing. For myself, the lapis lazuli is a stone of ascension.
Yeah.
Yes.
So ascension and strength. So as you know, you too, and I mean, likewise, everyone, everywhere, we continuously go into hard times.
Yes.
But I find that to be my stone of strength to persevere through those times, and then also to ascend into we spoke about it last time, the I rather than the me.
Yes.
So I find it so powerful for that. I've got a necklace, right, that has lapis lazuli all down the side with a couple of bigger ones at the bottom with a little chain. What do you call it? A pendant? It's like a metal pendant.
Yeah, like a
You guys
pendant.
would have seen it before. But once you see it again, you'll be like, oh, that's the necklace he spoke about.
Yeah.
That she keeps stealing off me.
Yes, I do keep stealing it.
It keeps going, this is my necklace.
Yes, what's mine is yours.
And so what's yours is yours.
I always say that too.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. Well, I love it.
Yeah.
You want to continue?
Yeah, of course. So I feel with that crystal, with the chakras, because you said each crystal would be a chakra, would the chakras all activate at once? Or would that be something too that individual, that younger self as you would unlock?
Yeah, it would be a learning.
Yes?
Yeah, you'd have to go through realizing that putting them together, that's when you unlock the true power.
Yes. And I know that we speak about too that the throat chakra is the most hardest one to open.
Yeah.
Because that is that's being prudent. So do you feel that would be the first one you would play with to open?
Good question. I think the one that I would start with would be probably the yellow and the creativity. Because with that creation, then I would have then something to speak about.
Yes.
I feel that the creation part is the part as a young child that helps you find your voice, and you're able then to speak your truth because you know who you are.
Yes. And how have you found that now?
So good. I feel like my throat chakra is quite open.
Yes, I can see that. I love that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I hear you.
It's like the wand of speech
Yes.
almost.
Oh.
Hey, that's cool.
The
That's
wand of
another
speech.
shirt.
I know, we're going to have so much merchandise.
I love it. Before we jump to Johnny, I
Yes.
think we just got to turn that light
I know.
on.
I
real
was just
quick.
thinking about that.
Yeah.
Actually.
So forgive me. I'm just quickly going to turn the light on if everyone's looking at my belly. But you, it's going to be the perfect shot.
Yes.
We will zoom in to Shane's belly. But
Yes.
you might as well ask Johnny the
Of
question.
course I will. So Johnny, in regards to this, so if you could go back in time, so let's pretend we're going back in time, traveling through space. If you could go back in time and give that younger version of you a item as well as a phrase, what would it be under the age of 7?
The item would be a compass. And I'm making this compass now in my mind.
Yes.
So
Shall we close our eyes and visualize it?
Sure. So it would be an old school flip up compass that has not only a compass in it, but a clock and a mirror. Because the advice that I would have given my 7-year-old self was to stay true. And I think growing up, I lost my way a fair bit. The path I took, I think, was to appease others as opposed to staying true on my own path. And so the compass would very much be the reminder that stay true to your journey. And the timepiece would be to remind me that time is important, that we're here for a good time, not a long time. So take advantage of the time that you have. And the mirror would be to allow myself to see myself, because again, for the longest time, it was it's hard to look at yourself and see your authenticity. When I would look at myself, I would always see the expectations of others and forget the expectations of myself, which was to stay true to myself, to remember to play, and to follow the path that I wanted to follow as a child, as opposed to going onto the path of others to appease them.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Very deep.
In regards, because like you say that with the mirror, it's for you to be able to see yourself in your reflection.
Yeah.
And the clock represents time. How do you see them beautifully dancing together through that life of the younger child when they find and they embody that action.
Well, I think it's also going through time and being able to look back and reflect on yourself and say, here I was at this particular point in time and this is who I was.
Yes.
And as you move forward and you get more wisdom tinsel in your beard or
Yes.
some more laugh lines to look back and remember and think about those things on your journey.
Wow.
And the message to the younger self would just be stay true to your heart, the
Yes.
compass, the compassion, your
Yes.
internal compass to follow your dreams.
Would that be written on the compass on the front of it?
It is now.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
now.
Engraved.
Yes.
Engraved.
Engraved.
Yeah.
What color would you engrave it, and what color would the compass
Well,
be?
the compass is gold.
Yes.
I see it as gold, and it would be engraved in,
Mhm.
black etching.
Yes. Turning lead to gold, we may say.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah.
Ah.
So black etching over it. So it's such a deep concept too.
Yes,
so
it is.
You're like the alchemist, the older alchemist, giving so much more than even just what's written on it.
Yeah.
And that itself's deep as well.
Yeah.
But it's true. We were working with a gentleman the other night, and it seems to be a common theme with so many of us on this planet.
Yes.
Where we tend to lose our truest sense of self, or let's say, how can we word it differently? We can say certain things happen throughout life. We like to refer to it as the trial by fire,
Yes.
where we tend to get hurt, trust tends to go away,
Yeah.
and then we don't really be our most authentic self, right?
Yep.
Is that what happened to you then? Just lost yourself throughout a period?
I think, and through the work that we do, I can pinpoint pretty much a point in time where it happened. When I was 15, I used to be I probably could still be a very good horse rider, I don't know. But I used to be
Just don't ride bear.
I used to ride a lot, and I was chosen at 15 to represent Australia. And I was this unknown kid that tried out, got the role, and nothing was ever expected from me. And it meant I was free. I had fun. I could go out there. And at this tournament, I actually won the tournament, basically. Scored the highest, did really well. It was competing against a South African team
Oh, wow.
from your home country.
Go SA.
Yeah. And after that competition, I then became known. And so people wanted me to ride with their teams. And I was riding with, 40 and 50-year-old people who had all these expectations of me. And I was just a 15-year-old kid who wanted to have fun.
Yes.
And, I actually spoke about it with my mum the other day. That's when horse riding lost its fun for me, because it was no longer just to go out and have fun and to play. It was now something I loved became a job or an occupation that I had to perform at. If I didn't perform at, I was letting people down.
Yes.
And so within a couple of years, I stopped, and I haven't ridden for 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just because the fun went,
Yes.
the play went. It became an expectation that I would train and do all these things, which I was happy to do, but I was happy to do it for me. I didn't want the expectation of others on me. And so that was the point in time of when I think I really started to lose my way. And then I would rebel against
Yes.
authority and expectation, all those sorts of things, because I wanted to come back to my path. I didn't know how to come back to my path. And that, put me on another path.
Yeah, I love that. And so once again, it's like you said, your whole life then got formed
Yes.
almost as as an effect.
Yes.
Avalanche effect all the way through, and it ripples into every aspect of your life. So then expectation then came on in so many, forgive me for making it so much.
You're right.
It's okay to go into a bit more. Yeah. The expectation then gets put into so many different categories, because then at some point it's then you recreating that expectation
Yes.
again and again and again.
Yeah.
Some people say it's like, okay, it's a story.
It's a BS.
It's
a belief system.
a belief.
Oh, I was
system.
like, bullshit. It is
That caught me by
bullshit too.
surprise. I was like, you just called Johnny on BS.
It's a belief system.
No, I love it. So then how did you then because we know each other quite well, you have found fun again, but not necessarily riding a horse again.
Yes.
But potentially in a different category called life.
Yeah.
But how? How did you let go of that story for yourself and find the flow with it then?
Well, it was a lot of hard work, really. It's not easy. But coming back to ultimately the realization that I'm mortal.
Yes.
I am going to pass on one day, and I don't want to live the rest of my life or what I have left trying to fulfill, whether they're real or false, the expectations of others.
Yes.
I want to live the life that I have. And, you know, we've got responsibilities. We're married. We have a daughter and all that sort of stuff. But going, no, it's my life. I want to live my life. There's things that I want to do. And so the only expectation comes from within as opposed to external.
Yes.
And then that expectation can be whatever I want it to be. And therefore it no longer becomes an expectation. It just becomes play.
So then how would you define play?
Play is getting up each morning and having fun and living right there in the moment. You know, if an opportunity comes up to dance in the shopping centre, I'm going to dance in the shopping centre.
Of course.
Whatever feels right at the time, you know. And it's funny, Sammy and I will always just walk through the shops and sing.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, you know, our daughter will be like, oh, you're embarrassing. Whereas now that example has rubbed off on her and she will dance with us and sing with us wherever we go. And I think it's just remembering not to take life too seriously.
Yes.
I think too, like with what you were saying with now being the example for Abby.
Yes.
What was being shown to you as an example was life's hard, life's not fun, life's a chore, all of those things. And it was like, oh, is this life? Like, you know, and when you realize that it's a choice and it's not, you can have fun, and you then be that example for others and Abby, and they go, oh, I can do that too.
Yes.
And like, that's changing the conditioning of the next line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, life is hard. And even reflecting on some things like, you know, you might be in really rubbish traffic one day. Yep, okay, that's crap. Or does it mean I've got an extra half an hour to listen to some really great music?
Yes.
Or to catch up on a podcast that I wanted to listen to?
Yeah.
And so just reframing what you think hard is, or what you think, you know, reevaluating what's put in front of you and choosing to see it in a lighter way.
I love that. Dr. Wayne Dyer's.
Yes.
Don't like the thing you look at, change the way you look at the thing, you know. Because once again, coming back to the gentleman I started referring to before, it's the same thing, but everyone has it in their own unique way. But it is really, or you know, just expectation upon yourself, you know. So he had obviously not mentioning his name or anything, but he had an expectation to, you know, to find happiness and to find beauty in life. And it started for him at 28. He had his midlife crisis at 28, went on this huge journey, traveled the world, went to Thailand, Budapest, you know, India, went absolutely everywhere and did as much as he could, learn, but never found the beauty until the moment he could go into a space where you could hear himself, you know, and then his was, you know, very much existentially masked, but the same thing.
Yes.
And at the point of, you know, slowing down so much so that he could go and say, wait, how did I feel,
Yeah.
you know, with what happened to me?
Yes.
How do I feel now? He could find the beauty in the thing that happened,
Yes.
you know, and that's essentially what you're saying as well. So then horse riding, is that something that you're not interested in anymore, or is there like a little tingle there still?
Oh, absolutely there's a tingle. Like
You need a big horse, though.
I do.
One of those Norwegian horses.
Big Clydesdale.
There's just something, and like, you know, I find it with motorbikes as well, but there's just something about putting trust in an animal that will kill you if you don't treat it well.
Or bite your fingers off.
And I've had some big stacks on horses. But sitting on a horse and just riding quietly through the bush is a wonderful thing. You know, sitting on a horse at full gallop and just going, this is free.
Yes.
And so I often do, like, one thing I regret, and, you know, shouldn't have regrets, but my dad and I always used to talk about taking horses and you can do like a cattle drive where they move the cattle from, you know, Northern Territory, and you sit with them for 300 or 400 Ks while you move them.
Yeah.
And just, you know, in the swags, camping, open fire, that sort of stuff. And that's something I would love to do one day. I would love to have done it with Dad, but we didn't get the chance.
Put it on the list.
Put it on the list.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Because there's just something about being under the open sky, away from civilization, on a horse. It takes away from all the modern distractions, and you're just in touch with that moment in time.
Yes.
It's like we were speaking before, weren't we, guys? You know, we were chilling in a different room before the podcast.
Playing
and we were
didgeridoo.
playing didgeridoo, having a chat, catching up. And we were speaking about your motorbike.
Yeah.
You know, so same thing.
Yeah.
Your horse is just now mechanical.
Yes.
That's it.
It's on
What's
wheels.
that song?
Well, the
Is
rain
it a
sounds lovely.
On a steel horse I ride.
Yeah.
And I'm on a dead or
Yeah,
alive.
yeah, your steel horse you ride.
Yeah. Or Bob Seger.
I don't know that one.
He sings, I forget what it's called. Metallica did a cover of it where they talk about riding their motorbikes.
I can imagine you like the Ghost Rider. You know, you guys know yeah.
I ride a lot slower these days.
No, I love it. Yeah. That's beautiful. But that's kind of very much a conversation we were having before.
Yeah, it was.
You know, and it was like so finding the thing that brings you joy and happiness. You know, it's like people starting to meditate.
Yes.
It's like the same thing, isn't it?
Yep.
Or massage even.
Yes.
What do you do?
What do I do?
Yeah,
Poetry.
Poetry.
Yes.
Yes.
Poetry's my thing.
How'd you get into poetry?
How did I get into poetry? So I got into poetry about 2 years ago. So like you guys, I stepped into this beautiful line of work to get to know myself better. And by doing a ceremony for myself, I was able to acknowledge the symptom, but then I'm able to go even deeper of the human condition of I just can't love myself. And what I found was like being prudent with my voice, I was able to dispel what I was feeling and put a more of a positive outlook on it with my poetry. And as I study things like that as well, it's my way of, let's say, banking it in my subconscious and embodying those practices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're very good at it.
Thank you.
I like to journal.
Do you?
Yeah, I like to journal.
Yeah.
And I know all of us like to study.
Yes.
You know, have you guys been studying since the podcast? Since the last one that we did?
Yes. I've watched a few YouTubies that you've posted.
Yes.
YouTubies that she posted.
That I posted. Ooh.
Yes. Just on the Celts and the witches and the Druids. And then I started listening to another podcast on the Druids as well. Yeah, because we were like, oh, I'm interested in it, but I don't know anything about it. So I thought, what's a better time than now?
What have you found so far with the findings of listening?
Well, how the Druids, a lot of their teachings, well, none of their teachings, they didn't write it down. It was all passed on from word.
Yes.
And so they would train people essentially, teach people in the ways, and it could take 20 years. It could take so long, but they learnt it by memory.
Yes.
And it was in their body. And
Yes.
it was very much plant-based, earth-based knowledge about connecting to the energies of the earth.
Yes.
And I was just like, wow, this is so awesome. But the hard thing is, because they didn't write anything down, the only information that's out there is from a third-person perspective. So it can be very biased about, like, you know, who's telling the story. So I think, for me, it's a very feeling base.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Do you know what Druid stands for?
The oak
Yes. So Drew stands for oak, and Wid means to know.
Yeah.
So put together, it means to know the oak.
Yes.
Which in a way, it's their way of planting their own seed to say Tamet Noshe, to know thyself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's freaking awesome. And like they've been seen as like being judges as well. They work very closely with the Celtic as well, which is quite fascinating. And for them too, there's beliefs that they were actually able even to shift into animals because they learned how to utilize and play with energy and not manipulate it, but use it in a way that it would work for them.
Yeah. It's so interesting.
It's so fascinating.
It's a big rabbit hole, isn't it?
Yes.
You
Yes,
know,
it is.
But easy to lose yourself in it. So we were talking about the Druids.
Yes, we were.
And we said, what did the name mean again? Sorry,
Okay.
I'm struggling to remember the actual name of it.
Drew?
Yes.
Drew?
So Drew stands for oak.
DRU.
Yes. And then WID stands for to know. And then when they put it together, they swap it around. They say to know the oak.
To know the oak.
Yes.
And we're still looking into deeper because
Yes.
we were super fascinated
Yeah.
After our
after we
conversation.
asked you last time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're like, whoa, like we have to look. Well, she took initiative.
Yeah.
And she was like, we have to know more about this so we can talk more about it because I know you resonate with it so
Yes.
much.
Yeah.
So
And I do know as well that with the oak, they would do different practices with mistletoe and the oak. And there's information out there that it was ayahuasca,
Yeah.
but it also was also seen as being magic mushrooms.
Yeah.
And they would embody those practices to get to know their ancestors. It was the way of them connecting to the all.
Wow.
because oak and mistletoe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you said, which I love, it's more of a feeling thing,
Yes.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So then I believe you mentioned it before, but forgive me, I don't want to take words out of your mouth.
Take them.
Take them.
You can have them.
Where it's like, the Druids is the aspect of me that holds the wisdom.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then how would you then, this is me asking you now, so how would you then access that part? Because it says, okay, so drink the oak or so forth and mistletoe, but that could be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah,
you know?
true. It's tuning in. It's taking time in the peace and the quiet and actually realizing that everything is energy around you and that all of these trees and rocks and plants, they've been there for hundreds of years, thousands of years. They've seen stuff, they know stuff. Like even trees, it's believed that they communicate through their roots.
Yes.
And so, this has happened and, well, I'll better tell my mate over here and and they support each other and then they're able to grow, even with lights. So even trees that are in the city, unfortunately, they're a bit sad because they're not having their rest. So even trees need to have their rest. They need to sleep. So they have all of this knowledge of how to live. And if you listen and you tune into the tree, it's like, oh, yes, well, I need to nurture myself. I need to, feed myself beautiful things that are going to help me grow. I need to stay in touch with my community because we can all support each other and help each other. I need rest. I need the sun. I need the moon. And these are all things that I need.
Yeah.
So
Well said.
yeah.
Yes.
So learning through nature, you're learning about yourself.
Yes.
I love that. And when you were speaking about that, I could even picture it.
Yeah.
It literally, we spoke last time on the last podcast about the Kabbalic tree of life.
Yes.
Yes.
It's basically the same thing, isn't it?
Same
Yeah.
thing.
So you can see how someone mapped it in their own way.
Yes.
And you just stick a person over it,
Yep.
the Vitruvian man.
Yes.
Going, stick the Vitruvian man over. I love that. It's going to go missing. But stick the man over it.
Yeah.
And it gives you the whole map.
Yeah.
And then, so you said they communicate through the root system, which is beautiful. That almost rings true, well, for me at least, of the most authentic sense of self-communication.
Yeah.
It's like that energetic communication. So communicating, have you guys heard about how mycelium in the soil
Yeah.
helps trees connect their communicative
Really?
waves? Yeah.
Oh, I
Wow.
don't think so.
In what way does it assist that? Same as what Sammy was explaining.
Well, yes, 100%. Because we talk about energy,
Yeah.
and I know Johnny might be able to shed more light on it too, potentially. I'll just say what my understanding is. I don't know the scientific words for it, but I was watching a Paul Stamets description. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast. This is years ago now. And they talk about this forest where they go in, and in this forest, they're finding all different kind of mycelium, and there's new mycelium that's developing itself on a continual basis. But fundamentally inside of the soil, right? But this is everywhere now. They're just finding it in the forest. There is mycelium that actually interacts between one tree and another tree and creates an actual pathway for them to communicate with.
Wow.
And then the knowledge, or let's say energy, right? Energy in motion.
Yes.
Emotion.
Emotions.
So see what I did there?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Same as what we communicate on an emotional EQ basis.
Yes.
They actually thrive off the knowledge, which creates more pathways.
Yeah.
And that's
Wow.
how the mycelium grows and becomes more and creates a network, where then it gets to the point where this network becomes so big that it becomes one organism that then can connect all over the world, essentially.
Yeah.
They're using the same mycelium at the moment in Japan, where they start a little piece and it follows a little track throughout Japan.
Yeah.
And that's where they build their railway stations underground.
Yes, I've seen that.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
So then imagine putting that stuff inside of you.
Yes.
Right? I'm not saying do that, but like, utilizing it. Imagine what it does for you,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what was your understanding of that?
For me, and it has science has really looked into it with the mycelium networks, that the trees will communicate, but also when a tree isn't doing so well, the stronger trees around will send it energy.
Yeah.
So to help it grow, whether it's not getting the nutrients it needs or it's not getting the sunlight. And so the other trees will go, okay, we got your back here, and help them grow, which I think is, it's easy to look at a tree and say that's a solitary tree, that's just a tree.
Yes.
But it's part of an ecosystem, and the
Yes.
ecosystem thrives when they're all working together.
Like the community, because then let's say that the trees might even be doing good, but then it gets like a rotten branch,
Yes.
like a bearer, right? And then the rest of the community comes and helps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that nice? And that's what we need, and that's I think what we're lacking as a community and in our society is we've become. I know the trees can't become just a solitude tree, but like we've chopped off. We've gone, okay, I can do it on my own. Whereas I don't think it was ever meant to. I don't think we were ever meant to do it on our own. It's it's an altruistic, I can do this, but there is no shame in asking for help, and there is actually, you're better for the community if you're all doing well.
Yeah. And the lightness that you get from being yourself in a community, feeling love and belonging and feeling accepted, that brings self-esteem forward, but then finding that community too, that's difficult.
Yes.
It is. Okay. Sorry, just a mind ding.
Light bulb. I'm going to edit a light bulb.
Light bulb.
So I think the reason why it's so hard is because people pretend, like what you were saying about how you lost your compass because you were trying to be of other expectations. So how can you find a friend, or how can you find a community when you're not even being yourself? So people then go, oh yeah, I like that version of Johnny Gunner, and you're like, oh, but that's actually not me. And then you're not connecting with those people because you're not being your truest self. So I think the secret of finding your community is that vulnerability. Like just,
Yeah.
this is me, and then look, it just attracts.
Yes, it does.
Somehow. I don't know how, but it just does.
But it's also important that it's important to acknowledge that by being that authentic version of yourself, you will repel people as well.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's okay.
Perfectly okay.
Yes.
Because not everybody's meant to get along.
No.
Doesn't mean you're mean or you don't have to be kind, but by being authentic, you're your vibe will attract your tribe.
Yeah.
So much easier said than done, though. You
Oh,
know?
so like we've only just learned it, hence why we've only just made such
Yeah.
beautiful connection of friends. I think during our lives, like I can pinpoint like a handful of friends that are my true friends, because somehow I just kind of went, "Bleh, this is me," and they went, "Yeah, I like that," and they showed me them, and that was safe. So there's only a few, but you know, then when you get older, you're kind of like, this is exhausting. Like I don't want just 4 people to know who I am. So I think it gets to the point of choosing your hard.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either choose your hard to hold it some persona of yourself, or choose the hard of, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable.
I agree completely. Because, you know, once I completely agree, you know, and then being that most authentic sense of self is difficult, you know, because it's like, wow, the anxiety that comes with it. It's like, what will the people think of me when I do speak my truth? Or, you know, for some people, it's like, what do I say? You know, it's like, oh, you know, I myself, if I can use myself as an example as well, how long have I been doing this work? Right? Long time, let's say personal development work, right? And working with people. And even still, I've got shit come up constantly.
Yeah.
But it's by learning the rules of engagement, we spoke about in the last episode, the rules of engagement, whatever they might be, your ABC, so your boundaries, you know, how to communicate clearly and speak from the heart, not having to know what comes next, you know. Doing that and trusting that. It's a magical thing. That's the being on horseback.
Yes.
You know, that's the having the clear quartz prism to be able to poke the people that aren't on your vibration.
Yes. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yes.
I'll beep that one. But it's true. And how do you feel about, you know, what we're speaking about here?
I feel it also resonates quite deeply too, because I even feel like what we're speaking about right now, we're just in a way describing different ways to view the compass or to view the wand. It's going back to being that example.
That's it.
Trusting your example.
Because the same with then the questions that we started to ask you guys in the last episode. You know, it's like the question of the eulogy. I was going back over editing the podcast, the first one we did, and I realized in the moment when you were speaking about your answer for your eulogy, how deep it was. But then going over it again, I was like, wow, that's very, very deep, because it's the realization of like there is no one to impress.
Yes.
There actually is no one, in fact, outside of myself.
Yes.
Because the subconscious, scientific terminology of the same thing now, the subconscious can ever only know itself.
Yes.
You know, so it is only you. So then it's like, well, having that kind of an information leads to an assisting of, you know, being more authentic, doesn't it? Because what did you mean then? Let's expand upon that a little bit, if that's okay.
Yep.
So you said in your eulogy, you started if you said, well, first and foremost, I'm going to be at my own funeral.
Yes.
And then you built from there.
Well, if you look at it, obviously my meat suit should be there in a box, maybe, who knows?
Hopefully.
But I believe my spirit will be there connecting with the people who have come to say goodbye. And it's never goodbye. It's just see you later.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I will be there in, I don't want to say the memories, but in the consciousness of those that are there, because I have impacted or touched them in some way.
Yes.
And so whether I have imparted some knowledge, imparted an example, I will continue to live through them.
100%. Beautiful answer. And also you will be the very person standing there at the funeral as well.
Yes.
You know, I just wanted to bring that back. It just came up for me again because I was like, wow, that is such a great concept to understand. Because in essence, that's what so many people are really researching for.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we get to, you know, well, for some might not even get there, that they pass on. But the thing is, as soon as the veil drops, they see it and they
Yes.
understand it. And that's once again that the gentleman I was speaking about before that we were working with, he said, well, it's like coming back to the state of nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by having, the state of nothing, you can have, I want to be careful with the word I use here because it's not a detachment.
No.
It's actually a more, what was the word you used when we were speaking about the on and the off?
What was the word that I used?
Interconnected.
Yeah, interconnectedness when we were speaking about it yesterday.
Yeah. It's actually more of an interconnectedness because from a state of nothing, you can imagine it's like this. You guys have seen the Matrix movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Neo, have you seen all of them?
I haven't seen
No.
the most recent one.
Okay, beautiful. But you saw the first one,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? The first one for
The
me.
best one.
The best one. It always will be. Hopefully they recreate the first one again.
Yeah.
They don't have to, but
Just put that out there.
just put the Keanu Reeves. But where he's out of the matrix, at least that matrix at that point in time, he's out of that matrix, and he goes back into a different matrix, which is like the white room with Morpheus.
Yes.
And he's standing there and he peers out and there's nothing around him, just the white room. That's when I, for instance, for myself, imagine the nothingness, that is what I see,
Yes.
some way to conceptualize it. But now imagine then from that space, you can realize that you're the creator. You're the one that lets all of the rows of guns come through, and purely by realizing, it's my mind that creates it. How I got there, go on your own journey to find that.
Yes.
But that you're the one that can imagine it purely by envisioning it, and then going through the Hermetic laws and
Yes.
things like that, which is fucking awesome, right? Pardon my French. It's our podcast. We can swear, right?
You can.
Yeah, that's it.
French
just say,
way.
We'll just say not for kids. But, having that and then realizing there is an off and an on to all of it,
Yes.
you can approach life from not a detached, I said interconnected before, but there's also like a different word. It's like we've got a picture. What's the picture that we keep talking about?
Oh, yes. So we speak about a picture that Hermes posted recently on his Instagram, but it's a Buddha and he's sitting in a white room, so there's nothing there. And in front of him is just a blank TV.
Yeah.
And he's holding the remote.
Yeah.
So it's quite cool because he represents being the one, but also the zero, and same as the TV.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because he sits there and he goes, oh, good, nothing's on.
Yes. Yes.
But anyway, I absolutely love that. And I feel maybe should we get into some of the questions that we didn't get to
go for
last
it.
time?
Sure.
And then maybe a bit of esoteric chatter.
Yeah. I reckon that'd be awesome.
Because we were starting on that path last time, I remember. And Sammy was like starting to feel quite high.
Yeah, she was.
It was very exciting.
Now, was there still questions that you guys wanted to ask each other from last time still?
I had 3 questions written down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we both spoke about our eulogies. We
Yes.
both spoke about our first. Did you speak about your first true love?
No.
No.
Well, let's talk about it.
Ah.
Yeah, because we did Johnny's.
Yes, we did
Yeah.
Johnny's.
And he said myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, actually, when I did this question, this was the only question I asked Johnny about because I was like, I think I got it totally wrong. I think this is not right because it wasn't a specific person. And, of course, I wanted to just go with my heart. And so I did. And then I was like, this is so woo-woo that it's just going to be probably wrong. And because my first love was I had this memory of coming out of the womb and just feeling love for myself, but not myself as a person, but just for everything. Like I just felt so much love that the interconnectedness that I was connected with everything. But then being picked up, being called a name, being soothed, that separation happens. And then you're Samantha Gunner, Samantha McCaffrey. So then you're an individual, whereas there was that moment of you're all of it. And that was my first love, was just a deep love for everything.
Wow.
And then the question continued as to how did that then relate to your relationships? And I think that's why I could always see the beauty in everything, in everyone. But as I grew, I realized not everybody wanted to be seen, and they didn't want to be their beauty. I think it made people uncomfortable. So I would always tell people about, oh, I think this about you, or I think that about you. And it would always be the good things. Whereas a lot of people forgot that about themselves. And then I realized as I was writing the question, I was like, okay, so if we're using this as a mirror and it's all me and it's reflective, why is it making them uncomfortable that they forgot this beauty about themselves? It was because I'd forgotten it about myself.
Well said.
And I was like, whoa, that question was amazing. But yeah, so it all came back to, I was the love. And then when we realized that we'd both written the same thing, I was like, oh, cool. Maybe we got it right. But like, obviously people are going to answer differently. But then when we both realized that once we truly did love ourselves, accepted ourselves, then nothing else mattered.
Wow. Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Do you remember that moment when you truly loved yourself? When it popped?
Yes.
Yes.
It might have been with a chat with the beautiful Hermetic Hermes.
Yes.
About a year and a half ago.
Wow. That's beautiful. And I guess like to surmise that chat, how would you surmise it?
It was, well, what would the world look like if Sammy did love herself? Pretty fucking awesome. You know, it was, I don't know what I was holding back. I don't know, you know, when all of this separation happens and people put judgments on you and all of that and you start to believe it, it's like a trick of how deep is your gnosis about the truth about yourself. And it was just a remembering of, I know this deep inside. I know this deep inside. All of the other stuff was just bullshit, trying to confuse me, trying to, you know, make a story. And it was just like, just let it go. And, you know, people go, oh, it's not easy. Well, it actually was. It was that easy. You're just like, do you reckon you could? Okay. And I was like,
just not easy to find it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was beautiful. And so after our chat, I came home and I was totally different person.
Wow.
Were we working together or was it like a retreat or something?
No, we were having a bit of a deep chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I'm recalling it now. Yeah. That was beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah. It's funny how it's just like one moment in space and time, one conversation, and it could be anyone, but it's just like the moment of someone just going, yeah, no, you are actually worth it.
Yes.
You know, and you go, well, I am, you know, because we all sit with that same fucking thing, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, that same thing. I just can't love myself. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
You know, but it's been called the human condition.
Yes.
What else has it been called?
BS.
That's a
Bullshit
belief
system.
But I'm sure it goes by many different names.
Yeah.
You know, and there's so much. Once again, I know we spoke about this briefly last time when we said, there's so much information out there nowadays, and that's something that's going around as well. Many people are saying that.
Yes.
And it's like, it's true. There's so many routes you can go down to find more about yourself. And like I'm looking at the little book thing there, and we have so many different books and so many different paths of esoterics you can go down.
Yes.
Like we mentioned last time as well, alchemy, you know, and arcane teachings and hermeticism. But it's like, it's just coming back to self.
Yeah.
Like you spoke about the Druids. It's like, what do I feel about it?
Yes.
You know, and then just flowing with what it is you feel, you know, whatever comes up. So I love that. Oh, a beautiful answer, by the way. So I am my first love.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I've asked you that question
I
before.
think you have.
Reiki.
Is it okay if we ask Reki?
Yes,
Of course
please.
it
Of
is.
course, we can ask Reiki. Okay, so the same question. I feel mine is also the same as our beautiful Johnny and Sammy. I feel that, my first deep love was myself. And I feel that, going on this path of getting to know myself, I got to love all aspects of me, the shadow as well. And I think too, it's like the more I continue my journey, the more I fall in love with myself even deeper and deeper. It's like our connection. It's like there'll be a day where it's like,
We have
oh
a
my,
connection?
we have a connection. E.T. But it's like, even like with us, it's like there'll be like a day we'll wake up, we'll be like, oh, like I just fell in love with you even deeper. But it's like, wow, it's like reflection. Oh, I just fell in love with a different aspect of myself even yet again. Yeah.
100%. That's a great answer.
Thank you.
An all-encompassing one. But if I might ask for the meat suit,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Because that was a good answer.
Yes, that was a good eye. But we'll go to the me,
Let's
shall
go to the
we?
me, right?
Okay.
The meat suit.
Let's
meat
play
suit.
inside the box.
Was there a specific moment,
Yes.
like Sammy said, she's like, I was having a conversation and it hit me, or I was thinking about a question and it made me rehappen it,
Okay, I hear you. Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yes. It's like as you were saying that question, it was like one thought came up, and it's like it was a beautiful journey that I had with San Pedro cactus. And I remember sitting on the beach, and all these emotions started to come up from, let's say, a past happening that happened to me. And it was like, by acknowledging the all interconnectedness of it, I felt even deeper love for myself. Because I was like, okay, I had holded on to this energy so much, but now that I came back to the state of being in love with it, I then was able to be in love with all of myself. And that was the pin drop there.
Wow.
So you were having a journey.
Yes, I was having a journey.
Oh, wow. What's I know, we've, researched around it and so forth, but what is cactus?
Okay, how would I describe cactus? So cactus is known as mescaline.
Mhm.
It is found in the, whereabouts is it found?
Oh, all over the world.
Yeah, all over the world.
Just like normal, like you get just like normal cactuses, like a San Pedro cacti.
Yes.
You can just buy it I'm not saying go buy a San Pedro plant and eat it. Please don't do that.
Please
No,
don't do
oh my
that.
gosh.
But-
The spikes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Oh, geez.
interesting. So
Yeah.
it's a mescaline
Yeah, it's a
and
mescaline.
it's a psychoactive
It's a
compound.
psychoactive compound, and it's more of a, let's say it's more of a different psychedelic from my experiences, and it's more about defragging your nervous system. That's how I found it within myself when it works with
So
me.
it allowed you to acknowledge different energies that stuck.
That was stuck.
Yeah.
But-
like depressed emotions. Which
Definitely.
is symbolic of depression.
Yes, definitely. But I even see that like depression is even just like another BS. It's another belief system. It's like I
You
now
like
see
using that now.
Yes, I do. I now see that as being just an aspect to know myself even deeper, because obviously these things happen for me to get to know me.
So you use it through ritual
Yes.
and sacred set and setting, with
When the-
intention.
Yes, when the container is safely held.
Beautiful. I love it.
That's
Well,
my
thank you
answer.
for answering.
My
yeah,
pleasure.
that's
What
beautiful.
about you?
What about me?
Yeah, Miss.
Okay, I'll answer it.
Yes.
And then we have a quick toilet break.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And then we'll keep going after that.
Yes.
We'll just leave everything recording and then we'll jump back in. What about me? Let me just take a second to ponder it. It's not often I get to think about my own, Let's go. Okay, I've got it.
Okay.
There we go. Just needed to have some water. How old was I? We're asking the first love.
True love, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's also myself,
Yes.
but it was a realization.
Mm.
Very much like yours, actually, very similar. I would have been 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
We were in SA. And no, I don't go SA. I go Australia. So I was 6 or 7. The picture that I can picture is quite a dark picture, but not in a bad way. It's just, I think it's nighttime or something. Yeah, definitely nighttime. And I was in the back seat right hand side back seat, and my sister's in a baby chair
Yep.
in the back, and mum's in the front seat and dad's driving. But it's the same as the Australian cars. The steering wheel's on the right hand side front. And I remember looking at them and they're talking about something about moving to Australia or something like that. And I remember looking out of the window and seeing these water drizzles on the window and looking through the water drizzles into the sky, and I could see some stars. And I had an epiphany, like a huge realization where I imagined the whole universe as a being.
Yeah.
So like the Vitruvian man that would stand like this, I encapsulated a person standing with his hands open, nothing outside of it, we might say, with like a galaxy spinning inside of its head.
Wow.
And I thought to myself at that point, 6-year-old thinking this, and I thought to myself, that must be what the whole universe is.
Mm.
And then it was that realization many, 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 many years later where I realized that was where I first understood that I am the universe.
Yeah.
And I fell in love, and I'll go to when I realized it again. I fell in love with myself at that memory, but didn't realize it until, like I said, many years later. The many years later memory was when I experienced for the very first time MDMA therapy.
Yeah.
Right? So what happened was I had this experience where we did something called timeline regression, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, with the medicine, which essentially is like a safe space where we just speak, relaxed storytelling. And we're speaking about our childhood memories, mine in that moment. And that's when I pictured it. And I was like, oh my God, like everything is happening for me, and it's all a gift to know myself, and I am the universe, and that was just my way of understanding it back then. And there is nothing for me to learn. It is all a feeling thing, and I am that I am. And that was my moment.
Wow.
And then it was such a powerful experience for myself that I wanted it for everyone else.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I made the decision from that moment on to step into a service-centered approach and lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then having that approach and lifestyle, I get to love myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Myself, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? More and more and more and more. So similar to yours.
Yes.
Where I can sit with empathy for a person. Doesn't matter where I am. I could be at a barber's cutting my hair, and I could be listening to what they're talking about, whether it's a drama triangle or what. I don't really mind, you know. I'll let them talk because I know for myself, there's a lesson in every single thing that happens every moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's my realization.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Hermes.
Wow.
That is so beautiful.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, bless. Thank you for asking me the question.
Yes.
Shall we have a quick toilet break?
Of course we
Sounds
can.
good.
Okay, viewers, we're going to pause. We're going to go like
Pause,
this.
pause.
Let's all clap hands. 1, 2, 3.
Shift
I'm having fun on this
paradigms.
podcast. Shall we clap in?
Yes.
Yes.
I wasn't going to count down.
Okay, who wants to count down?
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
And we're back.
And
we're
we
back.
are back. Thank you for asking me the question.
Yeah.
I just when I went to we then, I was like, oh, wow. I haven't reflected on that one in a long time.
Isn't it a gift when you get to share it with people?
Yes. In our community.
That's it. Because it made me think, it's like, once again, these questions, right? It's like, we found these questions. That was literally the only one I haven't asked her on the list, which is interesting. But yeah, like you guys answering the questions, but then also us going through it in real time is very powerful,
It is.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's one of those things where when you get asked that, your natural reaction is to go love outside of me.
Yes.
Yes.
This person gave me love, or what is love? Could I reciprocate? And then when you really start to think about it, all of us, you know, we're on our paths,
Yes.
and to realize that you can't receive it from anyone else until you can give it to yourself.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah.
Aho to that statement.
To
Indeed.
that statement. Well, that's beautiful. Okay. Do we have another question?
Yes. Let's see.
I agree with you, Johnny. Yeah, it is your instantaneous and go, oh, like that way. Yeah.
Well, it's that old cliched saying, you know, how can anybody love you if you don't love yourself?
Yes.
But then to really look at it and go, well, what does self-love mean? And I think for people who have truly looked inside,
Yes.
which is not an easy thing to do,
Yes.
Yeah.
to look inside and go, well, I am all my darkness, like you mentioned, your shadow.
Yes.
I am all of those things. And if I wasn't perfect, I wouldn't be any of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Happy
then,
and complete.
and then like you, so once you understand that, then like you said, you can then have empathy for others as well, because we're all just having a human experience.
That's
Yes.
it. Having an experience, yeah. And it's curious. I saw this thing the other day. Tell me what you guys think about it. I'm still, postulating and thinking about it, but I heard a thing where a gentleman said, "You don't own your memories, and you are not defined by your memories."
Yes.
Because the memories are actually a thing of, and it's not saying those things didn't happen to you, but they actually are just a figment of your imagination. What do you guys think about that?
You go.
For me, absolutely. And I have,
Or
have given so much power to memories in that hurt, trauma, and good, but all of the memories that come with that, and you associate so much weight with them. But at the end of the day, they are just a memory.
Yes.
And once you accept that and once you can dig into that, you realize that they don't hold the power over you that you think they do. And like what you mentioned before, we are just our subconscious.
Yes.
And so those things will come up to try and trick you into stepping off the path
Yes.
or taking the easy road, because the road you're meant to be on will be hard. And going, okay, well, yes, that was a memory that happened to me. It hurt, but more importantly, it gave me a lesson. And what was the lesson that I can utilize in that moment so that it didn't happen to me? It happened for me. But you're right. The only time is the now. That is just a file somewhere in your brain.
Yeah.
do they, and I'll explain the question, but do you feel like they leave once they've served their purpose?
I feel yes.
Yeah. I'll tell you why I asked that question. Interesting question, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I found that the more that I've done the work on myself, the less I refer back, the more deeper unconscious they go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't even want to say subconscious.
Yeah.
It's like you got to really recall it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I think is when you were saying about a memory. So, for instance, we could all be doing the same thing and we'll all visualize it or have a different memory of it depending on how we felt.
Yes.
And so I feel that you can transmute a memory also by changing the way you feel about it.
Yes.
Like Johnny was saying, find the lesson and see the beauty in it, and you go, oh yeah. And then once you're exactly right. Once you've, I think, felt it,
That's it.
Yes.
something just happens to it. Like, and it's not even that you can't. It's not there anymore. It's just like it's not holding you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Or you're not holding it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like the anchor of that experience. One, like you said, it served its purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, better, bigger things.
Yeah.
So then is that potentially like, we refer to like angels,
Yes.
because angels are different
Different angles.
perceptions, angles of perception, and, let's say, how do we get there from a memory to an angle? And why do we say an angle or an angel is a lens of perception? Well, it's in, I can't say that word, numerological.
Yes.
There you go. You said
That's
it.
correct.
Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sounds
So
pretty good.
numerology,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So you have the numbers from 1 to 9.
Yes.
where they say one is like being born.
One is
right?
the on, they say.
One is the on.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you go through the numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, it creates more angles,
Yeah.
Yes.
which then they say is ways to perceive world. So then knowing yourself more and more and more and more. But then the number 9, which is something you've been saying through the podcast too, is like the one where you rest happily and complete.
Yes,
Because
resting
after
in
that
present.
is then the awareness that you get. So maybe we're at 10, I don't know, where you can see the matrix that we saw,
Yeah.
the nothing, and also the all.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then the memory might just be like another angle,
Yeah.
and you can go up the scale,
Yeah.
none being better than the other,
Yes.
but then it leaves and potentially goes and works with someone else.
Yes.
Yeah.
A different vibration.
And your house number is 90. And that's what I realized when I came in. I was like, it's a 9.
It's a 9.
It's a 9.
A 9 with nothing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
gosh.
My mind just got blown.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I just lost my mind.
Well, listening to Sadhguru the other day when he was talking to Mike Tyson.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mike
exceptional.
Tyson said, I'm always afraid. And he said, because you're living in your memories and your imagination.
Yes.
Yes.
And like, I'll go to motorbike riding. You stop on the back of the motorbike. I could go around a corner really fast and go, that was awesome. And you would go, that was terrifying.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same
True.
experience. We're millimeters away from each other, but we put a different memory on it based on our
Different
conditioning.
connotation.
And therefore that will shape what the next event might be.
Yeah.
As opposed to going every event that is right in front of me is a new event.
Yes.
And I shouldn't judge it against what happened in the past.
100%.
Yes.
So, like Rekiah said, it's the connotation.
Yes.
So then that connotation, going back to what you said before as well, it can then keep you in the familiar environment.
Yeah.
And that familiar environment might be the rock and the hard place.
Yeah.
But you can choose to change that by going from a sympathetic state to a parasympathetic state,
Yes.
which is just coming back to acknowledging it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then it will do it automatically.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Yes.
Right? The body.
The polarization is being in automaticity, as we say.
100%. And automaticity is like the, you're just stepping out of the way.
Yes.
And it happens.
A conduit.
Yeah. It's crazy, hey? It's like it actually the less you do, the more happens.
Yes.
I don't even know. That's true though. You know, it's really true. You know, because I love, once again, coming back to us studying like esoterics and things like that. Remember I mentioned last time the bioelectromagnetic man?
Yes.
Yes.
You know, that's one of the deepest of teachings that you can get from, what branch of teaching is it? What school of thought is it? Do you know?
I'm not sure because I'm still studying at the moment.
Yeah. I think it's birthed. I might be completely off the mark here, but I believe it is birthed from Hermeticism. But it's got like a meat bag twist on it.
Yes.
So then they just take the teachings and throw it in there with the chakras and so forth over it.
Yeah.
Solomon.
Yes. There you go.
It's Solomon's
Solomon.
temple. That's it. Right. But now I'm just going down fucking rabbit holes. Right. Do we have another question?
Is it your turn?
Yes.
Yes. What do you believe the purpose and meaning of existence is?
I think I wrote it down. Let me go to my question.
How about you just feel it?
No. I because I
Just feel it, Johnny.
I
Be
did-
your
Johnny,
authentic
feel.
self, Johnny.
I did feel it, and I here we are. Yeah, 'cause that's exactly right.
Yes,
that's what I felt.
That's right.
That's what I thought. That's the connotation.
If I wasn't meant to be here, I wouldn't,
Yes.
and therefore I exist because I'm meant to exist. And if I try and get bogged down in the details of it,
Yeah.
in the logic of it,
Yes.
I'm never going to understand it because there's too much to understand.
Hmm.
And I think the example I put down in my answers
Yeah.
was I can try with all my might to understand why Dave Gilmour, and if you don't know who Dave Gilmour is, he's the guitarist for Pink Floyd,
Oh,
why
awesome.
he chooses to play the notes that he does and how he does it, or I can just close my eyes and listen with my heart and go, that's beautiful. So to exist is to simply, for me, to know I belong.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm part of whatever this is. Don't try and understand it too much, but learn from what the all
Yes.
gives us.
Yes.
And that way I'm not living in the past. I'm not getting ahead of myself. I'm sitting in the moment going, this is the purpose of my existence.
That's a great answer.
Now, obviously, there's man-made rules and constructs
Yes.
that layer themselves on top of that to fit into society or whatever that might be. But certainly knowing that I'm here for an experience, I can create my own experience and I don't have to play by the rules that other people put on me.
I love that. And is that enough for you personally to just be and have the experience?
I think as I get to know myself better,
Yeah.
I don't want to say chasing experiences, but purposely putting myself into scenarios that challenge my preconceived concepts,
Yes.
Right.
that allow me to open my eyes up to different things and to experience different things. And like, I'm going to say as early as 2 years ago, this conversation would never happen.
Yes.
I wouldn't allow myself to go this deep. I wouldn't allow myself to go, are we talking about the Druids and we're talking about this and whatever.
Yeah, like where does it all
He would just say, no, this is too much.
This is too
Stop.
much. This isn't coming from a rational mind,
Yeah.
right? Because I'd been conditioned in a certain way to go, well, that was back before, that was John, that wasn't Johnny,
Yes.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so I will purposely look for things that I feel drawn to, and whatever that might be, and look into that, experience that, learn from that. Because as I said, with the eulogy, I will die one day. I don't want to be on my deathbed going, I wish I had have, or what was
done
that?
this or done that?
So my experience is here to feel.
Yes,
Wow.
there we go.
To feel everything that I'm meant to,
Yeah.
which will range from the deepest, darkest pains to the highest, lightest love.
Yes.
I love that. So then
Yeah.
you find that, so that's finding the beauty
Yes.
in the darkness of life,
Yes.
in the polarity of
The
it.
thank you
know?
and the fuck you.
Yeah, like the yin and the yang,
Yeah.
you know. And so you're saying my mercurial edge. You guys know what the mercurial edge is?
I don't.
The Vesica
The
Pisces.
Vesica Pisces, the middle path.
Oh, yes, I do know that.
Equilibrium.
So you have the yin and the yang, and then
The
you
male,
have the
female, and the middle path.
middle path.
Yeah.
Yes, the little line in the center there. It's actually neither black nor white.
Yes.
It's actually all of them.
Yeah.
And then it endlessly goes into each dot as well. But that's what you're saying.
Yes.
I'm actually choosing to consciously rest
Yes.
in peace.
Yes. Rest
Yeah.
in the present.
Yeah. Remember we spoke about Bruce Lee last time,
Yes.
and we said it's to learn to die before you die.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm not knocking off.
No.
There's a difference. There's a big distinction. I'm actually living more now,
Yeah.
you know, rather than existing.
Yes.
You know, and far out, is there a big difference between the two?
Absolutely.
How would you describe the difference between the two?
How would I describe the difference between the two? How would I describe the difference between the two? Well, existing, I feel, I would like maybe you two to say, maybe Sammy after this one, but I feel existing, this is a gentleman that I worked with, and the first time I met him, he was 60. I believe he's 63 now.
Yeah, he's 63
about
now.
3 years now. He's been living life, which is great. But he existed. Anxiety ball. Remember, we were speaking about authentic self and community and so forth. The whole way through, no relationships, hadn't been with a person, a lady up until that point either, too anxious to show his true self, all because of one memory when he was younger of an experience that happened.
Yeah.
Right? So hung on to that all the way up until the age of 60. Then he could have one experience where he could see himself and go, I am worth it. I trust myself. I trust in God, you know, God being a very loose term at the moment, where he could then go and say exactly what you said. I will be at my own funeral because I am that person I am, but also I'll be there in spirit because I am also myself in the bigger thing, the all in the all, right? Where then he could go and consciously say, it is all happening for me. And a realization, let's say if we were to really simplify it, a realization that I don't want to leave anything on the table.
Yes.
I don't want to die thinking, I wanted to jump out of a plane. And no, I don't want to jump out of a plane. Not interested. But she's trying to get me to jump out of a plane.
Yes, I am.
Oh,
We've both done it.
Yes.
You have? Is it
I
scary?
wouldn't recommend. Sorry.
Okay.
I spewed my guts out when I got to the ground. Got a bit motion sickness.
Yeah. But yeah, so that would be my answer. So I would say existing is your being alive, but you're not actually being.
Yeah.
You're not what would a different way be? Help me here.
Okay, I'll say for me, before when I just existed and now living, I'm feeling.
Yes.
Ooh.
So when I just existed, I tried so hard not to feel because that was terrifying for me.
More like a void.
Yeah.
Because of the angle,
Yeah.
the memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
The angel.
A dog bit me.
Yeah.
But not all dogs bite.
No.
Well said. I could have just said it in 10 seconds.
No, but your
did.
way was beautiful.
And I think for me, we're conditioned that success means you have the big house
Yes.
and the nicest clothes, and that was me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you've got to have this job to show that you've got money in the bank, so you can live the dream that's put upon you,
Yes.
as opposed to going, I'd be quite happy to live in a caravan,
Yeah.
because that means freedom.
Yes.
And so rather than living what I think there's an expectation to you've got to do this, to do this, to do this, to do this, I can just do this, which is live right here in the moment. Now, obviously, we all need money. We all need some form of barter system, energy exchange. But
It's part of the game.
But
Yes.
rather than go, that's going to make me happy.
Yeah.
This is going to make me happy. And I'll just have some fun with that.
Mm.
Because for so long I was like, if I just had that, I'd be happy. If I just had that, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
And I never was.
Yes.
And I look at it now like I don't need any of it. But there's things that I want.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
And
is
that's
perfect.
okay.
I
Yeah.
want a new bike.
Yes.
I want to have a CF Moto. What are they called? The CF Moto?
800 MT Explorer.
800 MT Explorer. Even sounds fancy. But it's true. So then question, would happiness then be, if we kept it in mind, detachment from all things? Like, you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're
Yes, I
saying.
see what you're saying.
But not in the way of I'm going to become a monk
yeah.
Yes.
and I'm going to take off my shoes and then.
But you're not putting an expectation on it.
Mm.
So if you take the expectation away, you can experience it in its full beauty.
So it's not detachment then.
I don't think
No, I'm not attached to something. So if
for me, happiness was something to chase.
Yeah.
Whereas now happiness will come to me
That's it.
if I allow it to and have no expectation
Yeah.
on it. Because for me, when we went to Italy,
Yeah.
and we were planning a trip to Italy, and I'm like, this is going to be perfect.
Worst
This has
pizza
gotta
in Italy. Eh?
I'm like,
it's just missing all the stuff.
this has got to be the perfect holiday. This has got to be this. Has got to be this. And I tried to plan it out, and I got so stressed that it wasn't going to be a great day. And then one day we were in Positano, and it was raining, and we're like, let's go to Sorrento. And I'm like, oh, I can't figure this out. And Sammy just said, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
And we just followed our feet and had the best day because you taught me, or you showed me in that moment, that whatever happens, happens. We're in a different country.
Yes.
Whether we end up in the right part of town or the wrong part of town, we're going to have an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to be great.
Yes.
And that was probably one of the first lessons that you taught me back in 2017, just to let go.
Yeah.
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 So living without expectation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And rather than expectations, reasonable accountability.
Yes.
Reasonable accountability for me to say, yeah, it's okay to, what's a great example? Sadhguru.
Yes.
Yeah. because he loves his motorbikes.
Yes.
But he's an enlightened being,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
As people would call him, we might say. But there is literally no difference between us and a Sadhguru. The only difference is because he got asked that once on a show.
Yes, he
And he
did.
goes, well, the difference is that I'm sitting here and you're sitting down there.
Yes.
And I'm just choosing to let go of all outcomes.
Yeah.
And
I was
whatever
gonna say
gets
that.
said is,
Yeah.
I was thinking outcomes, letting go of the outcome,
letting go of the outcome.
but which is what can define happiness.
I love it. Let's do some questions.
Let's do a question.
The questions last ages, eh?
Yeah. That's why they took so long to do.
And I think that's what I was looking forward to, because you ask a question of us and then we answer it and then you tease it out.
And you flow with
There's
it.
so much more with it that you can dig into
Yes.
because you're hitting it with the different angles.
That's it.
The different angels. Rekiah, Raphael, Uriel, and Samael.
That's it. Because you can look even at the flow that we were having just off the one question we were speaking about there. Because I thought about it before as well. I forget what I was going to say, where it's almost like, well, what is those the definitive experiences that I want to experience, but there is no one.
Yes.
It's all of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Does it
Everything in
no
between.
outcomes.
Yeah. It's like recently we had a beautiful ceremony for a male, and his ceremony was about like being the canvas, the painting, everything in between.
Yeah.
And like that's a beautiful aspect to be in awe of everything in that middle.
Yeah. 100%. That's the same gentleman with the nothing, the lightness, and the joy.
Yes.
Approaching life from a state of curiosity.
Yes.
Going back to that, you said you fell in love with yourself when I was
Yeah.
before
Yes.
I got to the
Before you.
your name is Sammy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So no labels or
No
connotations.
Damn.
Same thing.
Yeah.
You know. So then really returning to the innocence of a child.
Mm.
You know. That's why I look at my boy, and this might be a segue to speak about Abby a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, just don't talk shit about her.
Never.
Love you, Abby. But it's like my boy. You guys met him. Some people will see him on the podcast running around, but
Yes.
Little OJ, all in. I learned so much from him, and so does Reki.
Yes.
So much. You just listen to what they talk about and what they want to talk about, and you just flow with the conversation with no outcomes. Like we said to you guys on the way to your property, he was bringing up questions at his age, right? Talk about enlightened being, about, what this is.
Yes.
And then in his own way, he would talk about it.
Yeah.
But beautifully unattached.
Yeah. It's like show me the child at 7 and show me the adult.
He'll probably be some kind of a guru.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
Maybe.
No. Not a guru, nor a shaman, but he'll be himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love it.
I love it. But what about Abby?
Oh, she blows our mind all the time, doesn't she?
Yep.
She's always been a teacher to us. She's taught us to not take life so seriously.
Yeah.
Because she even comes out, like, if I'll have a moment, she goes, "Mum, where are we? We're in a rock floating in the middle of space.
Yeah.
Who cares?" Don't take it so seriously. And I'm like, "Where'd you get that from?" And she's like, "Well, it's the truth. Do you know where we are?" And I'm like, "No." Like, it blew my mind that she can look at something from a different angle that I had not thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's true, the culture that we live in, our civilization as a whole, you got to pay your mortgage, you got to get a nice house, keep up with the Joneses, this and that and that. And every single aspect of our life has some kind of a stress associated with it. Bruce Lipton talks about this, right? Where it's like a stress associated with it. And that stress builds up and becomes distress. You
Yes.
wake up in a distressed sympathetic state, and that then bleeds into the rest of your life, But then it's even then, we've been talking about the mental way to work with that the whole time, but physical is a big part as well.
It sure is.
Working out and taking care of yourself.
The mental image, you can say.
What's the mental image?
Well, it's like I see the mental image as being even more deeper than just the physical aspect. It's gaining clarity to become that clear conduit. That's how I see it.
Can you explain it more?
Okay, can I explain it more? Okay. Alrighty. Let's explain it more in a simpler way. I feel that the mental image aspect is more about embodying your spirit, because that is what we're made of. It's the freedom in that spirit, in that mental image that you've created. So letting go of those attachments, like we spoke about before. Realizing there's no opponent.
So good.
Yes.
That's
Beautifully
right.
said.
There is no opponent.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just looking at the questions. Forgive me.
Yes. I have a question that I feel I'll ask Johnny.
Okay.
It's in regards to the archetypes. So I know the archetype that you chose, but I feel, you share why you chose that archetype. And I feel, also explore the shadow aspect would be really cool.
So I thought about this long and hard. And again, I was looking at myself through what I thought others would see me. And then I had to step back and say, well, who do I see myself as? And I really thought about the magician.
Yes.
The magician, because I am really curious about a lot of things. I get put into positions as opposed to seeking them. So I think, again, people will come to me for my wise sage advice, which then puts me into leadership perspectives.
Yes.
And so quite often, and it's been a new revelation to me, quite often many people in my life see me that way, and I've never seen myself that way. And so it was hard to sort of go, okay, well, am I that Gandalf type guy that's just there? I'm not the hero swinging the sword. I'm not the king. I don't want the leadership, but I'm just in those roles. But it was more the shadow aspect that cemented it for me. The shadow side of the magician is the manipulator.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have in my past, without even realize I was using my shadow energy, manipulated people. A lot of the work that I do is in that shadow element, manipulating, negotiating, pushing people outside of their comfort zones to get them to do things that they wouldn't normally want to do.
Yes.
And then even going right dark into the destructive side of the magician, which I would liken to the Joker in Batman.
Awesome.
Which is just, I want to burn the world down, and I don't want to replace it with anyone. And that's been me. That's been me a couple of times in my life where I've gotten so dark that it's just, if I can't be here, none of you can.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it was looking at the archetype from the shadow side that I went, that's my energy, but now coming back and playing in the light side of that archetype.
So, because I like the way you explain the darkness aspect of that and how it resonates with you, how do you feel you bring the dark to the light? Because that is where you find you.
So having a look at my shadow and the things that I do, often that you don't know you're doing it. It's shadow for me is
autopilot in a way.
Autopilot blindness. Others will point it out. But going, okay, well, that is me.
Yes.
How do I then use that energy in a positive way? We manipulate people all the time, and for a reason, manipulate is a bad word, but it doesn't necessarily mean a bad word.
It's power.
It's
Yes.
power. It's
empowerment.
That's right. And so how do I use those shadow elements of myself to get the best out of myself or out of people? Sometimes I have to manipulate myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to get up this early in the morning, but you have to do it. And so recognizing that neither is good nor bad, the absolute good can still be as destructive as the absolute bad. And I don't even want to use bad.
Yeah. Because same thing, different poles.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
And so looking at it and going, okay, well, I know that destructive energy is there and can be there.
Yes.
How do I then balance that with the scales on the other side?
Yes.
And because quite often, for me in particular, I'd never been able to look at myself as the positive or as the light. It was always the dark. Always the dark. I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. And therefore, I've been able to utilize the skills in the dark.
Yes.
And to my advantage.
Yes.
How can I bring them across to the light?
Yes.
And so rather than manipulate people from a point of I want, how can I then manipulate people for their positive change or for their growth?
Exceptionally well said. Yeah.
I see that.
I hear loud and clear. It reminds me of a book that I read that says Power,
Yes.
the red one.
Yes.
The gentleman with the nature or laws of nature that you're reading.
Oh, Robert Greene.
Robert Greene.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's got another book called Power.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that's come up because we should probably read that.
Well, he was on a podcast really recently. Well, not recently. I listened to it recently with Dyer, CEO, and he was looking at. It was so interesting to hear. He saw himself as a failure, and it wasn't until he was 37, 38 that someone said,
Yeah.
"Have you got a book idea?" And he goes, "Yeah, I do." And he wrote 48 Laws of Power or whatever it is.
It's huge.
Yeah, looking at
Massive.
the Machiavellian aspects and all these different things, and going, life is essentially a form of manipulation.
Yeah.
Any way to access power is to utilize your own strength to impress upon others.
I think it's exceptional. It's like the Spider-Man movie. You know, he goes through with great power comes great responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
And power is awareness.
Yes.
You know, so having that power as well. And look, there will be people that use it for quote unquote in the game bad.
Yes.
No such thing, obviously, as we've been speaking, but good on them.
Yes.
You know, because it's like they figured out a way to utilize the system.
Yeah.
But then you get individuals like us then, which are approaching it from a service-centered base, which is like, okay, how can I then, on one hand, get to better know myself,
Yes.
but then on the other hand, help that self to better their life, not to, you know, potentially logicify a process to reach definitive realization and epiphany in the moment, but just how to rest in peace,
Yes.
you know? So it's a big strength, you know, by looking into that shadow aspect of yourself and realizing there was no shadow all along, but a memory
Yes.
to acknowledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
You bring temperance then
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a
to your
great,
own justice.
yeah, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. Wow.
Highlight of the podcast, guys.
Magician.
Yeah. Literally. Wow.
Yeah, it was so hard for me to look at myself in that positive light through conditioning, through lots of things. I could only ever see
Yeah.
the destruction that I brought.
Yes.
And I remember it was only 12 months ago, roughly, that a man that I respected, who he would be mid-60s, I suppose,
Yeah.
came up to me and said, "You have such a beautiful soul. I love spending time with you." And I thought, why can I not see what he sees?
Yeah.
And it's only 12 months ago.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Another beautiful lady, won't mention the name now because it was private when it happened, but said the same thing, you know. It's like, I want to see in myself, and this might ring bells for you too, but I want to see in myself what others see in me,
Yes.
you know, and that's an aspect that we don't want to manipulate in. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
You know, also not really manipulate myself, but use it in it's a tricky language, isn't it? You know, because it's the context that manipulation is a negative thing,
Yes.
but it's actually a very positive thing.
Yes.
Well, and for me, I went on a journey, and that was my intention on that journey. And what it taught me was just be the tree.
Be the oak tree.
Yes. The oak tree.
Back to the tree.
Yes.
The tree
The
doesn't,
Druids.
the tree doesn't try and be anything else than what it is.
Yes.
It can bring shade.
Yes.
It brings life.
Yes.
It flowers. It brings food. It
A thing can fall off and hit someone on the
a
head.
thing can fall off.
Yes.
And
Yeah, a
There'll be
A
banyan nut.
branch.
Banyan nut.
Or a banyan nut. They hurt.
And so the tree is just the tree that doesn't try and pretend to be anything else. And that was like, okay, just be you.
Yes.
Don't try and be anything other than what you are. And people will see you for who you are. And they will put their own judgment on that.
Yes.
But that was the lesson for me there, just to allow myself to be seen as others see me means to.
That's exceptional. That's
Yeah,
exceptional.
wow.
There's so much in that.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me think. It's like maybe have you read the book? Have any of you read the book
No.
of the Power?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maybe we should make it homework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good
we'll make it
idea.
homework. And as you guys know, is when you study something,
Yeah.
there's so much that happens in life, you know,
Yes.
that comes up, and it's like, okay, for me then to really understand what I'm reading, it's like the Kabbalion, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yes.
To understand what I'm reading, so much synchronicities happens in my life to see it.
Yes.
And I feel what a beautiful way, and forgive me, don't want to overstep anything, but I believe you might be starting something then for yourself. in that kind of a way of assisting people.
Absolutely. So life has made me uncomfortable enough recently
Yes.
to go to really look at what is it that I enjoy doing. I love working with people. I love being in service to people and helping them discover themselves. And so
Even it just be a conversation.
even
Yes.
just a conversation, even if it's just giving them something that allows some of their lead to become gold,
That's it.
you know, showing them a side of themselves that they can't see from a different angle.
Yes.
Teaching them the tools that helped you.
That's right.
Yes.
And it took me a long time to find those tools within myself, and then others helped me polish those tools. So why not give them away?
Yes.
Now there'll be a fair energy exchange with that.
Good.
But starting up our own business,
Yeah.
looking at different aspects, but really working with people from a personal development, and that might go into professional development as well, but a personal development role, a coaching role, to say, well, you know, because we are conditioned to only see our negatives. You
Yes.
know, our amygdala works from, there's a scary saber-toothed cat about to eat me, so I'm always
Yes.
going to be on the negative side. And teaching them to see the opposite side to that, the balance to that.
Because
love that.
what's it called, my love?
Push play.
Push play. And bringing it back, tying it all back to where you stopped, where you lost your compass, where you lost your way, was because you push pause. You
Yes.
push pause and you forgot how to play. So this is where the idea came from, is how we're so often living in rewind in the past, and we're so often living in fast forward and anxiety of, oh, what could happen? And sometimes we've pushed pause on life, but the whole idea is we've got to remember to push play.
Yes.
And so it's a play on words that, yes, we want to teach through play as well, the lightness of life, but we also want people to go, okay, I'm ready to actually push myself out of the uncomfortable and push play for myself, because the only person that can push play for themselves is themselves.
Yes.
Is that?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's live life.
Yes.
Let's not just fucking exist.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's actually, because there's a lot of passion. You can hear it.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
There's a lot of passion because like we went through it.
Yes.
You know, and I'm talking about everyone around this table.
Yes.
I mean, why are we sitting here doing this podcast?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
But I love that push play, because there's going to be people on this planet that's waiting for you to.
Yeah.
And your unique edge.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the only way to do it is just do it.
Yeah. It's
You
just
know,
a start.
which you guys already have, you know, and you guys have already been working with people as well. So then, well, congratulations on that as well.
Thank
you.
I didn't want to overstep and be like, oh,
No.
it's starting, you know,
No,
but
that's also the pushing play. We had to
Exactly.
push play as well. Like
that's it.
recently when you guys came over and we had a conversation, I said to Johnny, why haven't we pushed play on this idea? Like, we just need to do it.
Yes.
That's it.
There's nothing stopping us. So we haven't seen you guys for maybe 2 weeks or a week or something.
A week.
Oh, it's been a week. In a week, oh my gosh, we've got logos, we've got business ideas, we've got coaching ideas, because we just went, we are the ones that have to push play. And if we can be the examples, that's the only way that we can help others, is because if we be the example, they go, okay, well, I can do it too.
Yeah. And it's a similar theme to what we've been speaking about a lot of the day here in
Yes.
this podcast, because it is actually as easy as that,
Yeah.
isn't
Yes.
it? It's like, it's just a moment in time. It's same with people that, you know, want to start taking their physical health more seriously, or
Yes.
whatever it might be, or anxiety, you name it. The possibilities are endless,
Yes.
right? It's just a moment in time and space where you go and say, yeah, I had enough of sitting with myself.
Yes.
I'm just going to do it now.
Yeah.
And then I do feel as well to say the fair, equal, equitable energy exchange side of it is a beautiful realization.
Yes.
You know, because it's like, I am worth that.
That's right.
And however I choose to go about that is beautiful, because I know my worth.
Yeah, and people are going to judge that, because they might go, oh, that's outrageous, or they might go, oh, that's not enough, or like everybody will have their opinion on it. But if it sits well with us, That's all we have to be okay with.
And that's not the
Exactly.
people you want to work with anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, it's for instance, you know, forgive me, Johnny, but Johnny 2 years ago
Yeah.
wouldn't have listened to this podcast.
Nope.
So I don't want Johnny from 2 years ago.
No.
You know, you understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yes.
right?
I do not want Johnny from 2 years ago.
I don't want Johnny from 2 years ago to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
And that's authenticity.
Yes,
you
it
know,
is.
because it's like we will resonate with so many different people. And it's in living my truth more and more and more and saying, all right, I've pushed play on my life,
Yeah.
where then I start to attract a community as well,
Yes.
which then it changes everything.
Yes.
You know, it's talk about like Bruce Lipton and Robert Edward Grant and all these
Yes.
people talking about this new age.
Yep.
It's beautiful. Look, they're fucking smart people,
Mm.
right? But at some point you got to go and say, right, but aren't we really saying that the change that's happening is an emotional conversation?
Yes.
You know, you see what I'm saying? And
Definitely.
not just a logical one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's come, let's say, right, what do you feel?
Mm.
Let's acknowledge it. We'll discern it. We'll allow it, right? But then at some point we say, right, how did I then learn from that memory?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this whole podcast is literally what we've been speaking about is what you guys then are offering in your own way.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's very much, you know, let's take me back 2 years where it's something is deeply uncomfortable with me. It's like, I don't know how to love myself and I don't know why.
Mm.
I don't know how to take the steps forward in life and I don't know why.
Yes.
And if it wasn't for a few people saying, well, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Well, why?
Yeah.
Asking the right questions.
Asking the right questions that forces me then to not answer those questions, but to look inside
Mm.
Yeah.
and go, yeah, why?
A magnifying glass.
Because it's very much easy to say to someone, I don't like that person, they make me uncomfortable. No, they're just reflecting your discomfort back on you.
Yes.
Exactly.
So you need to ask those questions. And I think it happens to everyone, you know,
Oh,
with Abby at 16, you know, with OJ at 7, with me at 43.
yeah.
Yes.
And it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And it comes back to we are here to experience something.
Yeah.
Something will always be calling. The call of the wild will always be there.
I like that.
It's just whether you are brave enough to
Yes.
answer that call and eventually the call will become loud enough that you have to answer.
Yes.
Yeah.
As loud as a Hans Zimmer.
Yes.
Thunderbird.
Well,
Yes.
we were talking
Right.
about that the other night, Hermes, like how, what if it actually happened?
Yes.
Then it's like you get a little bit afraid of your own abilities, your own power, your own desire that, okay, if this actually happens, fuck,
Yeah.
how awesome. But that's scary.
It is scary. It's scary as fuck.
It's
Yeah.
scary. But do you know what's scarier?
Not doing it,
Dying
not doing it.
without knowing.
That's it. Looking at what if all the things that could go wrong? Well, what if one thing just goes right?
Yeah.
Yes.
One
yeah,
thing.
and this is the thing that goes right.
Yeah.
you know?
Yes.
Because it potentially is, and it's happening now. You know, you guys are doing it because you guys are push play.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and it's not necessarily something outside of you.
No.
You know, but we're still in a game. We still need the fancy bells and whistles to say, "Hi, here I am."
Yeah.
In all of the noise, you know. But yeah, the potential that it might actually happen and the anxiety thereof.
Yeah.
But then it's coming back to the no outcomes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're nowhere now here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nowhere now here. I love that. Yeah. Because, you know, it's going to be times that are going to be tough with it where, you know, it's like the Hermetic laws.
Yes.
You're going to go through, you guys have envisioned it.
Yeah.
You guys have now spoken it. You're corresponding.
Yes.
Where are you guys? Are you guys now finding the rhythm with it? Or are you guys starting to feel it?
I think
Vibration.
feel it.
Absolutely feeling it.
Vibration.
Yeah.
Right. So then you guys know how that works. Polarization, right?
Yes.
You guys read the book.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's like it's going to bring you the polarities constantly to actually ask you, is this what you really want?
Yes.
And that's the thing. I've not felt excited about something like this for a long time. It's so exciting to look at it. And I suppose part of the thing is taking my excitement back a bit to say, well, actually, no, let's walk before we run.
Yes.
Because looking at it and going, okay, well, there could be so many things that we could do. And that makes me so excited about, well, this is life.
Yeah.
There's so many things I can do in life. Why limit myself? But also then making sure the foundation is strong,
Yeah.
getting the foundation right.
Because it's in the very, I hear you, it's in the very act of building the foundation that the fun is.
Yes.
Yeah. Because the very definition of push play is that.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a cool way to look at it, isn't it? Because it's once again, it's like a tunnel, isn't it?
Yes.
I remember the gentleman spoke about the tunnel.
Yes.
You want to explain the tunnel for us?
Of
really
course. So
quickly?
he spoke about the tunnel, and he spoke about at the end of the tunnel there was a Lamborghini. But I was like, okay, even if I get that Lamborghini, I'm not going to be happy because he's let go of that outcome from the Lamborghini. So it's like, okay, how can I step into that tunnel and still enjoy it? Because you go into the emotions.
So then realizing it's the steps through the
Yes.
tunnel.
You step off on the right foot.
Yeah. That is the living.
Yes. That's
That
the
is
beauty.
where the beauty is. That is, as some would say, happiness.
Yes.
The fuck is happiness? You know, it's the act of experiencing and embodying
Yes.
you.
Yeah. A sadhana, an embodiment of practice.
Yeah. I must say, this is a
Beautiful.
pretty fucking cool opening for a push play.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You could probably even use this content
Yeah.
if you guys want to.
Of course you guys can.
We will. Those will be good marketing.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
I would love to ask Sammy the same question with the archetype.
Oh, okay. So I had no idea what an archetype was. So I just went with feeling
I love that.
of what I felt, and I was like, I feel like the priestess. And the priestess is the female version of the magician,
Yes.
which I thought was pretty cool, and we hadn't even discussed it. So then I was
Coincidence.
I know.
so I wrote-
Synchronicity.
I don't synchronicities. We made up a song about synchronicities.
Sing it for us. Go.
I just did. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Can you
It's
sing
one
it
line.
again?
Synchronicities. It's a country song.
Synchronicities.
Okay, so I wrote a priestess. I don't know why exactly. The word just sits with me. I am now going to Google it and see what it resonates with. And so then I read, they serve as a bridge between the divine and the people, guiding with wisdom and empathy. This role has evolved over centuries but retains its core essence of guidance and spiritual leadership. And I went, yeah, that seems about right.
Wow.
So I don't know about the shadow or anything like that. So if you guys know anything about the priestess.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's very similar, actually.
Yeah, I feel similar.
But instead of manipulation, it could be brooding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like birthing. What is brooding?
Brooding.
Just sitting on your nest and waiting for things to happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
sitting on my nest.
Yeah.
How do you feel that you've been able to work with your shadow aspects?
What would be my shadow? Brooding.
Well, I think even talking about you have had many ideas, like amazing ideas, and you wait. You're like, oh, I couldn't do this, or no, that's just a silly idea.
Yes.
And so you sit in the safe zone,
Yes, that's true.
as opposed to stepping into your power.
And giving birth to the ideas.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's been recently
Inanna.
recently one of my lessons is that the action. So I have the thought, I have the feeling, and the third part is the action. And I was missing that bit. And I was just being happy with the feeling. Like, oh, this feels nice. Like, I'm happy in my own mind, but something was missing. And I just now need to give birth to those ideas. And then that will actually then make the experience true. I will get to experience the experience
Yes.
because I'm doing it. So,
Yes.
Wow, I love that.
That's
I
beautiful.
think that's a beautiful surmise of your answer for the shadow aspect.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I think I might ask a question as well, and then I feel like we can start rounding it up potentially.
Yeah.
Lovely.
How do you
So-
guys feel?
Yeah, I'm feeling hungry.
You're feeling hungry.
Yeah, me too. That's good. That's good. It's 2
Yeah.
hours. That's yeah, it's a big podcast.
Yes.
Meaningful songs. I Am Light and Give Thanks by India Ari.
Yes.
For you.
So I Am Light is just a reminder of my true essence and what I can bring to the world.
Your action.
Thank you, Reki. And that by shining a light on others, it helps them shine. And like it you know, when you bring a higher energy to someone who might be not as a higher energy, they might be having a hard time, the only way is up. Like you don't have to come down to that energy, but you can always lift someone else up.
Yes.
And so that's how I feel with the light one and the give thanks one, because the main line in that song is, there will never ever be another day just like today, so let's give thanks now. And that's true. You can go to the same job every day, but you will never have the same interactions, the same feelings. You will never have any of it. You can't replicate it. So find all of the beauty in all of it.
Love it.
Wow.
That's exceptional.
Yeah.
To build on that train of thought,
Yes.
I have a question for starting to finalize off with the
Okay.
podcast. Now, we did talk about your gift that you would give to your younger self
Yes.
and so forth. If you could leave something similar to the viewers, something to ponder upon,
Yes, a
something
rabbit hole.
potentially,
Maybe.
something to take with them, a gift of knowledge, awareness, or something from the heart, what would you want to say? What would you
Okay.
want to leave them with? It could be anything, and you can say anything you would like to. It's all
Okay.
perfect. What would you leave for our viewers? Let's say some refer to it as a golden nugget,
Okay.
some are teaching.
Okay. I would ask them a question, and it would be, tell me what brought you joy as a child. And for them to think on it. That gave them that innocence, that wonder for life, that spark. And then go, did you know, as a grown-up, you can do that still? So like whether it be dancing or making a fort or playing in the sand, whatever that was that brought you wonder and joy as a child, how's about you just weave it in a little bit into your grown-up life and see what changes? Because it will change. It will totally change. And it might be something so simple. It might be like, I just love baking cookies. Okay, when was the last time you baked cookies? Go bake some cookies and see what happens.
Love it.
Yeah.
One last one before we jump to Johnny. What was that for you?
For me, it was, I get this word wrong all the time. I say frolicking, but it's not frolicking.
It's frolic.
Frolicking.
Frolicking or fossicking or...
Frolicking.
Are you looking for dinosaur bones or are you dancing?
No, I'm so my thing was I used to walk around with a basket.
Fossicking.
Fossicking. I used
Fossicking.
to... Yeah.
Oh.
I used to walk around with a cane basket and I would pick up treasures, right? And I would have this imagination that it would be like, this rock is, from millions of years ago and this is, So it would bring this wild imagination. And so I do it now. So like I'm nearly 40 and I have a cane basket and I go to Johnny and I'm like, I'm going out to find treasures. And I walk around our backyard and I pick up feathers and then I make feather wands and I then pick up sticks and I make crafts out of it. Like, it's so childlike, but it brings me so much joy. Abby looks at me and she's like, oh, Mum's collected another cool stick. But like, that is what brings me happiness.
That's your wand.
That's
That's
I
your
love
wand.
it. It's my wand. So I walk around picking up treasures.
Love it. No, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I can hear the deeper meaning of that too.
Me too.
Picking up treasures everywhere.
Yes.
This,
Your golden nuggets.
I'll take a piece here. I'll take a piece there.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's an exceptional answer.
Thank you.
I'll hold to that one.
To that one.
Brother Johnny,
Yeah.
golden nugget that
Golden
you would
nugget.
leave for the viewers.
There's beauty in everything. From my own experience, I've always looked for the hard. And so to bring in polarity, there's beauty in everything.
Yes.
And if you just stop and allow yourself to see it, you'll see it. And then you'll reflect it back into your own life. And so for me, the biggest things there is stopping each day to look at a sunset. And even with that song, there will never be another today. There will never be another sunset.
Mm.
And allowing yourself to go, that sunset is spectacular. It's the most beautiful thing that there is. And I created that because I allowed myself to stop and watch it and see it. And everything in life can be that, whether it's a breaking wave, whether it's a pebble on the beach, there is beauty in everything and every person. And it's worth taking the time to stop and look for it.
Wow.
I love it. And what's your breaking wave?
What's my breaking wave? Well, I'm going to say just that. Every breaking wave offers a different opportunity to reach the shore.
I love it.
I love that too.
This must be the favorite podcast I've ever done.
Mine too.
So funny.
I feel like, remember we were speaking and we said, we're going to do almost like podcast anniversaries.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's going to be our anniversary podcast.
Sounds good.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Because this will be a good reflection as well of, push play, the growth, and
Yes.
not accountability, but experience
Yes.
and no outcomes. So maybe episode 10.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Oh.
Yeah.
We'll lock it in.
Shall we
The
lock
on
it?
and the off.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say thank you to both of you for coming onto our podcast. It's exceptional. And I know we're good friends as well. We'll be there when you want to change the beam for sure.
Absolutely.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
We'll be there in a beam.
Yeah, we'll be there in a beam. But this is honestly, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. And to be able to have fun talking about these things, sharing knowledge to the
Yes.
beautiful viewers, it's exceptional. And it warms my heart to say, wow, like look at where we are. Look at what we're doing.
Yes.
And the things that are to come excites me even more. So
Well,
yeah.
it's just another example that all you need is authenticity.
Yes.
Authenticity to have fun.
That's
Yes.
it.
There's nothing
agree.
else that's needed.
That's it. Well, I'll say aho from my side.
Yes.
Oh,
Aho, and thank you guys once again. It was
Oh.
freaking awesome as always.
our pleasure.
Aho.
Shall we do like a little team
Yeah, let's do it.
anniversary?
Ready?
Okay.
Ready?
What are we saying?
Oh my God.